I didn't stay in this dysfunctional relationship because I was weak. I stayed because my nervous system had been trained to survive discomfort. The hardest part for me wasn't realizing that the dynamic was unhealthy. It was realizing that I still felt emotionally trapped in it. I was walking on eggshells trying to manage the mood of the household, trying to make sure that I didn't upset him, that I didn't have too many needs, that I just wasn't asking for too much in the relationship, and just doing everything that I could to just keep the peace. I really did judge myself for staying in this relationship as long as I did, but then I started to do a lot of work, and I learned about the fawn response, where you basically just do the emotional labor in order to feel safe in the relationship. I didn't want any dysfunction. I didn't want there to be any conflict. I was afraid that if I brought up how I felt, it would result in an argument, or me being shamed for feeling that way, or told that I was being too emotional, so I would just freeze up and just not say anything. Let me know in the comments if you've ever done this in a relationship. So some personal examples of what the fawn response looked like for me was basically just minimizing my needs, not asking for what I needed, not asking for any help around the house, not trying to talk too much about the finances or making a budget, because that conversation would always lead to an argument. I was avoiding conflict. I was adapting around his moods, so the constant feeling of just walking on eggshells. Basically, whatever mood he was in would determine whatever mood I was in, and basically feeling just trapped in this dynamic. Like, I couldn't leave even though I knew that it was unhealthy, and I honestly wasn't really capable of leaving until I felt that stability outside of the relationship. So talking about it with friends and family really helped. Getting my job in order, getting more stability financially, and just having that really strong support system built outside of the relationship is what actually gave me the courage and the empowerment to actually finally leave. I was no longer afraid of being alone. I was actually more afraid of just completely losing myself in this relationship. I realized that I couldn't really be myself. I realized that I was dulling down parts of my personality in order to just feel safe. I didn't want to feel that rejection or that shame or that criticism that came with me just trying to be myself. So I really started to just shrink myself down to be whatever version would please him, essentially. So once I started making really strong friendship connections outside of the relationship, that's when I actually realized that I'm more capable than I thought I was, and that I'm strong and I will be able to survive being alone, even if it is scary. I finally made the leap and took the risk, and I am so much happier now that I'm out of that relationship. And the really healing part for me too wasn't just leaving him, it was actually realizing that I could survive on my own. So it was actually really empowering for me as a woman to be able to afford living on my own. Even though it was a struggle at first, I finally feel like I have my own place. I can come home, it's peaceful, it's safe. I don't have to worry about, being judged by somebody else for any weird, quirky parts of my personality. I can just let my personality shine, and I have way more time to spend with friends and family and just building those more genuine connections where I actually feel safe to be myself. Sometimes you can't just leave because your nervous system is trained to keep the peace at all costs, for fear of disappointing somebody. I reached a point where I was less afraid of losing him and more afraid of losing myself. Did anyone else grow up feeling like being easygoing was the safest way to survive? Leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts.